What's up, fam? Hope you're doing fantastic out there. Today we are taking a look at a first for the channel. So this is the first Maxace folding knife we've had on the channel. Really excited about this. It's one I've been after for a little while and just never pulled the trigger on for whatever reason. This is actually an older version using Bowler M390. They have made some changes to that. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Absolutely fantastic blade. I have been loving my time with it so far. I was able to pick this up from my good buddy Road Hog Slayer on Instagram, so big shout out to him. I'll have him linked down below as well. Some specs on this guy: you're looking at a 3.15 inch blade, 7.48 overall, 3.52 ounces. Price tag on these, it just depends on which version you get. So the version like this now comes in S90V. Those are $148. And then there is a version with a Arctic kind of carbon fiber here and gold accents, I believe. That one is done in MagnaCut, and it is $168. So really, really cool offering here from Maxace. This is a very popular knife, and rightfully so. I really do enjoy it. And yeah, it's such a good knife. And it's kind of one of those things where you ever pick up a knife, you ever get a knife, and it's just like, you just immediately start kicking yourself, like, why did it take me so long to get one of these? You know, why? I don't know, you know, and wasn't like, I mean, I did get a good deal on this, don't get me wrong, but you know, even these things on the secondhand market, they don't sell for much less than what they go for and the normal sales market. So it's not like, you know, I don't know. I just don't know why I waited so long to pick one up, but it's definitely one that I am absolutely kicking myself about not getting. I mean, just listen to that thing. Just, God. That sound, just, I don't know what it is about it. It's just such a unique acoustic sound when it, anyway, beautiful knife. Let's do our deep dive in here and give this thing a once over. So beautiful blue pivot collar there. I love that shade of blue. Nice stylized pivot there on the show side. Beautiful, almost like a raindrop carbon fiber here. Of course, you have the single-sided hardware, so, you know, just absolutely, you know, flush here in that geared blue backspacer. Maxace branding there on the pocket clip. I actually really do like when companies brand on their pocket clips. It does not bother me one bit. Looks like we have T8 hardware all the way around. The relief cuts on the lock bar are a little on the sharp side, but they're chamfered. So they're not really going to snag anything, but they are, you can feel them. They're not perfectly rounded. But in and out of the pocket, I didn't notice any issues there. Again, on the lock bar, great looking lock bar. The only thing you have is the screw there for the lock bar insert. Typically, you can see the lock bar insert. Here you cannot. It just looks really clean. Simple blade hole opening method, and it doesn't look like you'd have that great of access to it, but it fits just right for your finger to get in there. You guys can see that there. This fits just right. Allows you to get that blade fired out. Looks like we are just right at 50% lockup. And perfectly centered. Go ahead and take a look at this blade. So stonewash blade. It is kind of a modified sheep's foot blade. Really nice plunge grind there. We'll get that in a little closer here. Again, beautiful stonewash. Blade itself, sharpening looks to be great. Great job there. Here you have just the knife branding there. You have Black Mirror and Bowler M390. There you can actually see the detent and the detent track, which is unusual. You typically cannot see that. There's that plunge grind. So your plunge grind stops right there. Super, super fast plunge grind. Tons of sharpening room. Full height flat grind here. Just really great job. Tip looks perfect. The only nitpick I have on this knife is where the detent's at, and we kind of seen that a little bit there, where the fact that you can see the detent hole. So whenever you close this knife, your detent doesn't catch until right there. So you're at a 45-degree angle almost before your detent catches. Now that's not a big deal because of how this is done. When you do bring that down, it does kind of touch the finger right there, or touch your thumb right there. So it does allow you to bring that down with ease. And then also this isn't done at a 90-degree angle either. So if the blade does come down and hit your nail, it's not that big of a deal. It's more of a shake-shut knife once you get past, once you get your finger out of the way and get past that lock bar. It is, again, more of a shake-shut knife. I would like to take this one apart and see about possibly adding some skiffs to it. So we'll go ahead and do that here on the video and see if what size skiffs it does take. And we'll go ahead and do our hardware check as well on it. And then we'll talk about the ergonomics of the knife. So if you're not interested in any of this part of it, I'll put a time stamp up here so you can just fast forward to that time, and then you'll see the rest of my thoughts on the knife. But we'll go ahead and take it apart here and see what we're working with. So that screw is pretty good. We got a little bit of wiggle. Let's check it with my normal screwdriver. Okay, so yeah, so using that's the difference between a Vera screwdriver. So there is zero wiggle there, nothing. And then a Weehaw bit. You see a little bit of wiggle there. So that's a big difference in your bits. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing things that not all the time. It's not always the big company names that are really what you need to go after. Sometimes the smaller, less known companies are putting out some fire products. So that screwdriver, as we've talked about before, is made specifically for precision bits and holding on to those bits very well. So let's go ahead and get this pulled up here. Let me grab a little wedge because it's getting stuck on the lock bar, or excuse me, there we go, on the stop pin. Let's get that stop pin out of there. There we go, get that stop pin out. I like to put my stop pin back on. Well, let's just leave it out for now. Something tells me this thing is going to be 6mm as well. I'm not going to have the right size bits, or not have the right size for it. Let's just go ahead and check. Yep, 6mm. I bet you 6mm 1/16. Yep. Damn. All right. I don't have 6mm 1/16, so we're just going to clean this thing up, put it right back together, and go on with our day. Put the backspacer back in it. So really easy to disassemble knife. Absolutely no issues there. It looks like he does run these knives he runs his knives a little dry, so probably putting a little bit of oil in here is not going to be a bad thing. Which I don't typically run a lot of oil in mine, but I do. I like to have a little bit of oil in here. Okay. I'm just going in and cleaning out the pockets where these washers sit. Screwdriver here, magnet. That bit holder has a really strong magnet to it. You can see I'm just going to go in and clean up some of this gunk in here. And it really wouldn't affect anything because it's on the side where the washer is, but it doesn't hurt to go in and clean up the knife. And this is picked up from a buddy of mine on the secondary, so I know he does take care of his knives, but it never hurts to go in and clean them up. That looks fine. Looks like so the pivot needs to be on the bottom, or the D shape on the pivot needs to be on the bottom. All right, let's go clean this washer off. So there are two sides to every washer. Let's see if I can zoom in and show you guys this. Of course, there's two sides to a washer, but you'll see there is a kind of a sharp side. See how this side is more perfectly flat, and then this side has a little more kind of a roundness to it on the edges. So this is the side that I want to have facing up, and you can see where the bearings have already been running as a track on there. So go ahead and slide that down in there. I will break out my oil again. So we use the same oil, same recipe that we always use when we are working on a knife. Get this stuff out of the way here. We'll just give it a little bit of, 2 little dabs of nano oil, and then I will put a little dab here on the bearing itself, and just run that in between my fingers. Just get these coated up. So a bottle of oil like this should last you a very, very long time. Blade looks good. I think I've already cleaned it once, but we'll do it again. Then same thing goes. I'm going to just put a little dab here, a little dab there. Center blade in here. Go ahead and put my stop pin back in. Make sure that's seated all the way. That way I can close the knife down. It rests against the stop pin. Again, 2 little dabs of oil. Fill up our bearings. Slide them in. Find the right side of our washer. That's the right side. I'm just going to go ahead and put a dab of oil on here. Let's go ahead and set my washer down on there so I don't have to worry about it falling out of the lock side. Clean this up a little bit. Now I am going to put just a small little dab of Slick 'em All right here on the detent track. And that will stay put and it won't run away or anything like that. So it does work really well for that aspect, or for that job, just putting it right there on the detent track. It just really stays put and it makes it really nice. It makes a really nice lubricant for that. Go ahead and line everything back up here. Oh, it might help if I line up my, oh, you rat. The backspacer does not want to stay put. Gotta line up my captive part of my pivot. There we go. Put that back through. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and put my pivot back in since it's sitting here ready. All right, go ahead and snug everything up. Do some fine tuning on a pivot here. I think that'll do. So that is unfortunate. That's the second knife in a row that I have found that is a 6mm 1/16, and I do not have any of those daggone bearings. So I'm gonna have to order me a set of skiffs, a stack of them for that specific blade or that specific size as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue talking about this knife. So what I like about it. So the only nitpick, you guys know, the only nitpick I had was where the detent placement. But that is it. That is the only minute, small, anything that I have to say negative about this knife. It fits in the hand so unbelievably well. It just works. The size and the shape of the handle fits my hand, again, like it's like you're shaking hands with, you know, a friend or a family member. It just feels right. Just the perfect length. I mean, you can see there on my hand, it's not a ton hanging over. I've got right here up against the blade. I'm not, you know, feeling like I'm a mile away from the blade. I can choke up if I want to and get a little bit closer up on that blade, but it doesn't look like it's got some big gaudy finger toil in there. You know, you can get in there and not have to worry about it. And I'm not saying oh my God, you're so good. It doesn't have a massive finger toil. That's not always the best look on a knife. Anybody can agree, okay? But this one, it doesn't have a massive finger toil, but you can get up in there and it does have a toil of sorts. Yeah, I mean, just a really well done knife. Pocket clip disappears in the hand. Tons of lock bar access. I mean, just metric ton of lock bar access. I mean, look at that. And it doesn't make the knife look bad. Like, the knife doesn't look bad at all, especially not when it's closed. It looks great when it's closed. Looks fine when it's open. This is like kind of stylized a little bit. The chamfered spot there has a little bit of jimping. I like how they did that. That's not something I've seen very often. Typically, it's scalloped this way, you know, scalloped, you know, top to bottom versus having the jimping run side to side. That's very interesting. I like the hidden lock bar insert. I just wish it didn't have that, you know, that kind of the double clutch issue. Which if you don't get scared of the blade when it comes down, then you're not going to have a problem. My problem is I'm still not used to the knife, so I'm kind of get a little shook whenever, because I don't like letting the blades completely drop on my hand. So I stop a little early sometimes, and you know that'll cause it to double clutch. But once you get used to it and you just let it do what it needs to do, it's fine. Or if you just close it like, you know, a normal person would close a one-handed close a knife, where you just unlock it and then fold it in by hand instead of trying to just let it drop shut. Then you don't have any problems. But a really great job from Maxace on this one. I love this knife, and I'm really interested to see some more knives from this company, and I'm excited about it. You know, so let me know what you guys think. I know there's a lot of folks out there that have this knife and that absolutely swear by this knife and love it. I do want to get the other version. That'll probably be the next Maxace that I grab. It's very unusual for me to get multiples of the same knife. But I have a feeling what I'm going to end up doing is, now that I know I love this knife, I'm going to end up buying the one with the Arctic carbon fiber and swap out the backspacer, pocket clip, and pivot collars, and swap them onto the one that has the blue carbon fiber, and then just end up selling this knife. Selling the M390 version and keeping the Magna Cut and having the pivot collars and everything switched over, and make that the knife that I end up keeping. But I'm very happy to have gotten the opportunity to check this knife out, and I'm very happy to have it in my collection for the time being until I decide to get that other version. So anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. As always, please remember to be kind, be humble, and be EDC. Take care.